Preparing to live stream the meeting. We should pop up very soon.
Okay, I'm showing live on Zoom. Checking YouTube. Showed up on YouTube. I'll go ahead and get that link. I did hear a little bit of reverb feedback. Okay, that's on my end. There we go. Can you still okay?
Yes. And
is Zencastr set to? It's set to the VoIP disabled.
Yes, that is correct.
Okay.
And we're seeing some people pop up in the chat. Hi everyone. Good morning. Good morning, Hill. Paris Kivas. How are you? Noel. Good day from Barcelona. How are you doing? Steve, how are you doing? We're going to start momentarily. Just going to pop out this chat. Okay. Roy, how are you doing? Leet Trance. Have fun working out. Manager. Morning, Pascal. Angelo. Fernando. From Mexico. That's wonderful. Wonderful. So I think that I think we're good to go. Let me just make sure that, yeah, I'm still getting chat. All right, Mark. Happy China Day. Are you in China? SS Cardano. Crypto Addictive. And Noel, we're with you. We're all happy to be part of the Cardano movement.
Okay, Philippe, I'm going to do a quick audio check to see if my reverb stopped. Are you hearing me okay?
Yes.
All right. Sounds like I got it. Sorry about that.
No worries.
Slightly different setup. I'm going to drop the link in the Telegram.
Okay. Just give us a few seconds and we're going to start. Sorry for the delay. It's on my end today.
Okay, I'm good.
Okay, let me just drop it in the Cardano Effect Telegram group as well. And I'm going to pin it. Okay. We're coming in clear. Okay, perfect. So welcome everyone to the Cardano Effect Podcast, episode 54. The purpose of this podcast is to take high-level developer information and projects that are occurring within the Cardano space and break them down into bite-sized, consumable pieces of information for everyday use. I'm your host, Philippe, and let's get this podcast started. The hosts for the Cardano Effect today are Rick and myself. This is our live stream episode, so basically what this series embodies is we take all the news that happened within the past week and we discuss it. We have a discussion where we go on Reddit and see the top post for what happened this week, and we also go to the YouTube chat. We've been getting great feedback for our live stream episodes, so it's been a weekly thing, and we've been doing it for the past 4 or 5 weeks, and it's been going well. If you've missed the last 2 episodes of the Cardano Effect podcast, we had an episode with Daniel Friedman. He is business development guy at IOHK, and we released that earlier in the week. And the episode before that, we just had our live stream episode. So we have the live stream episodes mixed with guests, and we are actively seeking out guests to come on the podcast. Please note that we are trying. We do not get accepted from everyone. Not everyone wants to show their face on the podcast, or not everyone is even interested in showing up on the podcast. But Rick and I, regardless of the number of rejections we get, we are still pushing forward and trying to get as many special guests on the podcast as possible. So for all the new users or the new viewers of the Cardano Effect podcast, we talk about all things Cardano. We talk about cryptocurrency as a whole, but we want to try to introduce this project to you. The best way you can support us is like, sharing, or commenting, and making sure that you're subscribed to our YouTube channel. We have quite a large audience. I mean, we're approaching our 6,000 subscriber on YouTube, and we are syndicated on many different platforms. But the thing is, this is a bear market, and for all the Cardano enthusiasts out there, think about how many people this podcast can reach when the bulls return and more people are interested about hearing about different cryptocurrency projects. Cardano is going to be one of those in the forefront, and we're just trying to put as much information out there as possible. So please consider subscribing. It really helps us out, and share our content whenever you can. So without further ado, we're going to start this podcast. I want to remind everyone that none of what we say on this podcast is financial advice. Remember, you are your best financial advisor. And if you don't think you are, you need to find someone who's qualified to do so. Rick, how's your Sunday going? What's been going on? What's happening?
Hey, Philippe, thanks for asking. I'm in sunny San Diego. It's about 76 degrees out. Really nice here right now. And I'm dialing in from hotel internet. So if I randomly get cut off, please forgive me. I'll get dialed in as quickly as possible. I'd like to start off by giving a shout out to our sponsor, IOHK, also known as IOG, Input Output Global, who is sponsoring this podcast. Thank you very much. I'd also like to remind the viewers that this podcast is available in audio coming up in about 2 weeks, available on Pandora. So we're going to launch on Pandora. It's the beta version of their podcast. That way, you don't have to keep switching apps. If you're a Pandora fan, you can stick to Pandora and just select podcasts inside the app. This podcast will be available there shortly. I'll make an announcement whenever it actually shows up inside the app. This podcast is also available on Deezer, which is like a European version of Spotify. And Deezer has about 100 million users. So if you're a fan of Deezer, you don't have to go pull up other apps. You can just pull it up inside the app for Deezer. So that out of the way, we've got some major news for this week. We've got 3 general categories. You have the Cardano Foundation has a partnership with COTI, COTI, to offer ADA payment processing solutions. So what we're going to do is touch on the top 3 blog posts, and that is from Cardano Foundation, had a blog post last week. IOHK had a blog post from last week, and Emergo had 2. Okay, so we have COTI. We have the incentivized testnet, what it is and how to get involved. That's a blog post by IOHK. And we have 2 blog posts from Emergo. One of them is Manmeet Singh will be speaking the strategies to drive blockchain at a conference in Greece. And we have a new person at Emergo, Ada. And so there's an introductory blog post for him over on the Emergo blog post. And we'll be getting to the Reddit top 10, which a lot of them are focused on COTI and the testnet and how that's going. We do have a question in chat already, Philippe. You want me to touch on that real quick? It's
Yes.
from First Flyover. And
Yes.
First Flyover asks, what would prevent a person from scamming the testnet, such as loading a dataless wallet with 1 million ADA before the snapshot, then after the snapshot, selling their ADA? Nothing. That's perfectly fine. They can do that. That's not a scam. You're free to move your ADA into a wallet, get it on testnet, sell it on the mainnet. That's fine.
Yes.
As long as we have a lot of participation on this net, that's good. We have to test that testnet. I don't care about mainnet until the testnet's working. We'll get to the mainnet eventually. We'll get there, but we got to get through the testnet part first. So people can do that. That's fine.
Yes.
I don't think it's a scam.
No.
It would
because someone wants
helpful. Go ahead. Sorry.
Because someone wants to sell their ADA doesn't make it a scam. They can move in and out. You do what's advantageous to you. But please remember that there's 2 different ADA that you will have. You will have your testnet ADA, and then you'll have your mainnet ADA. After the snapshot is done, you can do whatever that you want with your mainnet ADA. You won't be able to move your testnet ADA outside. It's not like if you have 1 million mainnet ADA and you have 1 million that after the snapshot you have 1 million testnet ADA, you'll be able to move the testnet ADA back into a mainnet wallet. Those are 2 separate things. So you can do whatever you want with the mainnet ADA after the snapshot. Testnet ADA exists in a separate universe, and you won't be credited your rewards until after the mainnet is complete. So it's kind of 2 different protocols running at simultaneously at the same time, and eventually they're going to merge at some point in the future.
Yeah, and there's also another question in there on that that comes from Ottavio 1989. He says, how does IOHK consider the actual state of the testnet from a stability viewpoint? What would be considered a stable enough version to hit mainnet? Now, I can't speak for IOHK. I'm not an engineer. They have a test plan for how this is going to go. My own personal opinion is if you want to put 1,000 nodes on mainnet, you're going to have to test 1,000 nodes on the testnet. So We need as many nodes as possible running. And in my opinion, it's going to have to run stable for a couple of weeks. So I call that a full power run. Whatever it's going to be in the real world, you want to test it on the test net, right? With lots of users. Like currently, it's only the stake pool operators, and we don't have users. It's kind of like a hybrid, stake pool operators acting as users and as stake pool operators. So we're going to need those thousands of users on the test net once we get to that point. We're not there yet. It's not ready for it yet.
Yes.
And I'll get to that later about, what do I think. But anyway, I don't know what IOHK's opinion on that is. I can't read minds, but hopefully that answered your question, Ottavio. That's a very good question. And maybe someone from IOHK would be willing to come on a podcast and answer that for us on what they considered stable enough and what those test parameters are. Charles recently tweeted out that the stress test for 255 nodes approximately is what we've had running. And the stress test data.
I saw that tweet.
Yeah, it's not ready for users to come on the test net yet. It's not ready for it. Let's see.
We have another question from Pascal. Have the testnet dataless and dataless mainnet the same seed words? So yes. So what you're going to have to put your seed words from the mainnet into the testnet in order to access your testnet Ada. So this is why I made in a couple videos on my personal channel that after the mainnet is complete, I'll probably move my mainnet address to another mainnet address just for security reasons, just to be extra precaution, have an extra set of, just put extra precaution on my address. So you're going to have to dig out those seed words wherever they are and get ready for the testnet, because at some point you will have to put your seed words in order to access your testnet Ada.
Yeah, and we mentioned it last week. The testnet isn't for everyone. If you cannot use a ledger or a Trezor on the testnet. So if you are not comfortable moving it away from a ledger or Trezor for a day, then I suggest don't do it. You know what I mean? If your internet exists in a hostile environment where you're using public Wi-Fi and you're not comfortable with it, then don't do it. Okay, it's not worth it if you think you're going to be compromised. But that's your decision. Each person takes their own risk in crypto.
Definitely.
That's how crypto is.
Definitely.
Oh, not financial advice. Wow, lots of questions coming in already. Fantastic. That's why we do this. We hope to get your questions in, and feel free to help each other out in the chat. If you can help other people answer their questions, go for it. It's very helpful. All right, so we'll go into the blog post now, and then we'll switch over to Reddit. Sound good?
Okay.
All right. So the main blog post for this week, where we had the first one was from the Cardano Foundation, and this was also posted by Andy Hendricks on Reddit. It's one of our top Reddit posts as well. But from the Cardano Foundation, COTI is to offer an Ada payment processing solution for merchants. And if you go to cardanofoundation.org news, you will find the blog post from Bakit Azimkhanov. And let me go back over to that. I got windows open, so I get lost. Okay. Yeah, and so he's written a very extensive blog post. It links to a video that the YouTube video will show you how the COTI payment, a notional video of how it will work using Crypto Supreme as an example. And let me see here. And so it goes into the details. Bakit wrote an extensive article there, and he linked it out to COTI's website for the universal payment solution. So if you're interested in how this COTI universal payment solution works, check out the details on Bakit's article, the post from Andy on Reddit, and the links that lead to details. But Philippe knows a little more about that. Philippe, what do you think about that? You've done a little more research.
Yes, I have a few questions. So I read the press release. I understand that COTI is another blockchain firm. I believe they're Israeli. And I had questions about the underlying technology behind this payment rail. So if you look at COTI has their own token. It's called the COTI token. You look it up on CoinMarketCap. They have a market cap valuation of between 800,000 to 900,000. It might have increased this morning to just over a million, but relatively low in blockchain terms as far as total market cap. They have between, I think on Crunchbase, they said between 11 and 30 employees. They raised around $15 million. So they got hit pretty hard with the bear run, the bear market. So they've gone down. But the reason why I had a couple questions I had was in the press release. Once again, the press releases for crypto projects, they're always extremely opaque. So you don't understand exactly what's going on behind the scenes. They just spell out partnership, but you don't see the details. But inside the press release, they mentioned that Cardano is going to be using something called the COTI UPS, which is Universal Payment System or Services, whatever acronym they have for that. And if yes, so and if you look at COTI is a DAG, so the decyclic. I forgot the acronym.
I forget what it is, but
graph.
it's not, it doesn't store complete blockchain on every node or something like that.
Exactly.
So there's kind of like
directed acyclic graph. Yes.
There you go.
So yeah, so the problem with this is when there's block creation for Cardano, like say block creation happens in Cardano, it happens, a slot is created every 20 seconds and blocks amalgamate into an epoch and everything is structured. So the entire blockchain is running at the same time and everyone sees those transactions happening. With a DAG, what the issue is that there's a whole bunch of floating transactions happening all over the place. And Rick is going to, let's say, analyze the transactions that are happening in quadrant 1, while I'm going to analyze the transactions that are happening in quadrant 4. Susie is going to be analyzing the transactions in quadrant 3, and there's very little overlap. So they say 10,000 transactions per second. It's really unlimited. It can go forever because everyone's analyzing a small pocket of transactions. But the issue here is with DAGs, there's a double spend issue. So if I'm running a transaction, if I implement a transaction in Rick's quadrant while I'm doing a transaction in Susie's quadrant, while I'm doing a transaction in Philippe's quadrant, I can literally spend as much of the same amount of money for the same item as possible, and you can really scam the system. And the more transactions that happen means the more times that you can actually scam the system, because you'd have to have nodes that were processing individual transactions, and it becomes a mess. So COTI has this system where they said that they're preventing the double spend using some proprietary technology. They didn't elaborate, so we just have to assume that that's the case. And Charles has spoken about this as well, the drawbacks of having a DAG. So what's the issue here? The issue here is if you read the UPS paper or the UPS section on what that UPS means for COTI, it's going to entail a I wrote the words down exactly. I don't want to misquote, but basically there's a need for a reputation system. So this ensures that the double spend doesn't happen. And the reputation system for COTI, so an individual merchant, say Rick goes into a store, purchases it using that app, Rick would build a reputation score, and that merchant would have access to that reputation score. And the issues I see here is if you have a reputation system, it leads to bias from the merchant. So an online merchant or a physical merchant could deny or deny or give service to someone just based on their reputation. And it's really subjective, because say someone just kind of like steals your identity and makes a fraudulent transaction. What if you're forever barred from said merchant just because of that one issue? Although it's a good system in theory, it leads to a lot of ambiguity as far as what are the rights of the merchant versus what are the rights of the consumer. And personally, reputation systems are great, but they can lead to some sort of miscommunication between the actual merchant and the actual consumer. I don't know what COTI has in store in order to mitigate these risks, but these are some things that we need to figure out. The another thing that I wanted to talk about was the actual swapping of ADA. So as far as I as far as I'm concerned, Cardano has not hit interoperability yet. So you can scan a QR code, you pay using your ADA, and you get said product or service. So the interoperability lies that the merchant could accept your ADA, and apparently in the future you're going to be able to completely swap to fiat immediately. So the US dollar, the yen, the euro, whatever the case may be, and it's seamless. But there's a stable coin that exists in the middle, and apparently COTI has their own stable coin. It's called the COTI X. But there's not enough liquidity because, like I was saying before, it's 800,000 to $1 million market cap. So there's not enough liquidity with the COTI token itself in order to actually even process those transactions. So there has to be another stable coin. So I went on CoinMarketCap and I looked at the trading volume, and the biggest trading volume is from BitHum Global. And BitHum Global, the trading pair is from COTI to USD Tether. So they're using Tether as a stable coin in order to process those transactions. And if you actually look at their volume, it's been like $1 million all throughout, like for the past few months. It stays constant. So they obviously have merchants that are onboarded, but they use a tertiary platform, a BitHum Global, in order to make that transaction take place. So that is an issue there because that's a centralized marketplace where if they take that pair out immediately, none of those merchants that exist within the COTI network, I don't think they will be able to transact. So, what I'm thinking is, I don't know what the partnership has to lie. I don't know if Cardano Foundation will subsidize COTI and provide some sort of added liquidity to move that COTI
Like a
token and
buffer of ADA.
exactly,
Here's a
exactly.
stack of ADA to buffer it. Yeah, that makes sense.
Exactly.
That makes sense.
Exactly. I think that may be the solution. Once again, I don't see anything wrong with their business model. It's just the lack of liquidity is an issue, and I want to see exactly how that's going to play with ADA. So while it's going to work on a small scale, Crypto Supreme will implement it on the shop. But if Crypto Supreme starts accepting it, Rick starts accepting it, Philippe starts accepting it, and small businesses everywhere, it's not going to work at its current scale. But everything has to start from somewhere. So I'm interested to see whether they're going to be using the COTI as a stable coin or continue using the Tether, or how these transactions are going to take place. Yeah, sorry
Yeah,
for that.
no, those are all good points. You obviously did very extensive research, a lot more than I did. You probably just started reading and dug deep. You did a deep dive on that, obviously.
Yeah.
It's possible. Maybe we could get someone from COTI to speak more thoroughly to the technology and how it's going to work. It's possible. Maybe they will not use their native token, the COTI token on the DAG. For example, Finny, the phone, the really advanced crypto phone called the Finny.
Yes.
They had a native token on that from Siren Labs, and they don't use that token to transact everything. Like you don't even have to buy the token. They're just using it to pay a cell phone bill every month. And guess what? That didn't work out so well. They didn't sell nearly as many as they thought. But you could still store Bitcoin, transact Bitcoin, and so on. So basically, what I'm getting at is maybe they won't use their native token, the COTI DAG token. Maybe it'll use ADA directly. I don't know. Because what I read on it, well, it says that COTI, it's an it's an enterprise grade fintech platform that enables cross-chain interoperability, and it's built on its own DAG-based chain. It supports extreme scalability and low transaction costs. So this is from the article on COTI, and it empowers enterprises and merchants to receive any kind of payment method and build their own payment network. and coin as a service to settle instantly. And what I read more into that, what I got from it was you can pay with fiat on COTI, right? So you can another part of the article said they're trying to fill in the gaps that PayPal doesn't cover. Like PayPal, you can transact with fiat, but you can't transact with crypto. COTI's trying to make it so that you can transact with both fiat and crypto. So I'm assuming the crypto just rides over top of their network technology, whatever that is. I'd be interested to hear more about it, though.
That also brings up a good point, because this issue of, let's take it from the consumer side and then let's take it from the merchant side, the idea of jumping in and out of crypto back to the native currency. So as a US citizen, both of us are US citizens, and every time you switch, it's a taxable event. So a merchant selling a service in Ada, if it jumps back to Tether and then jumps back to USD, then that's taxable twice. And the same thing if you're a consumer and you're using your credit card to purchase, you purchase crypto to purchase a product, you actually get taxed twice. So until the regulation, they're fine as a company, because I believe they're registered in Gibraltar. So whatever lenient tax laws they have in there, they're fine. But for U.S. citizens, it's not going to work at its current point at all. At all.
Yeah, this isn't financial advice, but Philippe, I learn a lot from you, man. And sometimes I tell myself, you know what? I think before I sell out, I'm going to convert it to Monero first. They track me. Screw those taxes. Not financial advice. Never listen. Convert it to Monero and sell it off. No.
That's the way to do it.
I'm thinking about it. I think I'll do a test run and see what happens.
It's going to have to be, get a VPN.
I've been doing a podcast.
Find a DEX.
So where are you at this week, Rick? Yeah. Oh, I'm in jail. Why?
Yeah.
Tax fraud.
A bunch of us are going to be in our own jail, but yeah, I'm only paying taxes once. That's all I have to say. Not financial advice. I'm not getting double taxed.
Me too. I ain't getting double taxed no matter what. I ain't getting double taxed. I'll pay my taxes. Fair deal on taxes. Okay. So let's we have a second subject we were going to hit on here with the IOHK blog post and the testnet. Should we check chat real quick and see if there's any questions that need answered? It looks like people are helping each other out on chat.
Okay.
And I have a special I'm going to do the Cardano.pub live stream for the live map.
Okay.
Okay, so you want to check chat?
Yes, I'll check chat.
You want me to switch over to screen share and bring up .pub live map?
That sounds good.
All right, I'm going to do that. Let me get that baby up. This is so cool. I love this, man. This is incredible. Okay, here we go. Maybe. All right, here. I'm there. What am I trying to hear? There it is. All right, so what I'm bringing up here is, hopefully you can see this map on my screen. This is a map at cardano.pub. What a great URL. It's made by anonymous user MM. And this is a real-time map that you can go explore right now at cardano.pub. Okay? MM is a stake pool operator / ninja at making stuff. So he's using the netstat process and he's running several nodes wherever his nodes happen to be located. He's running several nodes to understand the testnet, and a couple of nodes are generating the data on this map. And you can move this map around. There's different layers up here on the top right. You can switch between layers. Not all of these maps have unlimited views. So if you do go to one of these views like CartoDB or something like that, and it doesn't render, simply switch to a different map to render a different view using this little indicator up on the top right. All of these nodes are updated within 30 seconds of the netstat time. So if you bring a node online, it'll show up on here within 30 seconds. The node will remain on the map until the poltercast part of the protocol drops that node from the sharing process or something like that. If I got that wrong, then someone please correct me. But a node might go offline, but it'll still remain on this map for a little while due to the way the protocol works, which is fine. Okay. So you got all these different places. Check this out. Right down here in Brazil, you got 3 nodes in Brazil. This looks like there's almost 2 nodes running here where it's darker. This adds a whole new meaning toward Amazon Web Services. This guy's running a node out here in the middle of Amazon. I heard that from, I think, Michael or someone. Someone said that on the Testnet Telegram, and I was like, I was dying. Amazon Web Services. You could run a Cardano node out in the middle of the Amazon. There's some new players that showed up in here. Tampa, Florida just showed up, or Miami, Florida just showed up. Tampa's been there for a little while. So those are over here in the U.S. A couple new players over in Europe. Poland showed up. It might not be showing, something to be aware of. It might not be showing to MM's node, but it's showing like my node sees it. So my node is seeing, oh, there it is, seeing that node, and it just showed up on here recently. There's another node that showed up here on the western side of Britain over here towards Wales. So several new nodes showing up there that I had not previously seen. There's not a whole lot of nodes in Africa. People brought that up. There's a node over here in Tenerife, which is part of Spain. South Africa, nodes running down there. Thailand recently showed up on mine. Let me see if it showed up here. No, we got the 2 nodes here in Vietnam. I have a node showing in Thailand over on my map. Malaysia. You got Osaka and Tokyo, Japan, South Korea. Nodes. I'm seeing 2 nodes in China. There's one in Beijing and one in Yinchuan. So over here in Yinchuan, China, there's another node shown over there. Not all nodes see all nodes all the time. So be aware of that. There's 255 nodes running, which is really cool. That was the test data that was put out there. There's I'm seeing 5 nodes in Australia. This view is showing 3 nodes in Australia. There's 2 over here near Sydney. There's another one over here in Perth, not showing, but I'm seeing the one over in Perth. All right. So yeah, lots. Look at that decentralization. Wow. Amazing. This is a huge testament to the testnet. Now, keep in mind, testnet is alpha. This is alpha software. This is alpha testing. So it's not going to work right. That was part of the that's part of the plan. It's not functioning correctly. That's okay. It will eventually work correctly. The key is the decentralized part's working. That part's definitely there. Now, the other part, like having a blockchain and synchronization, that part's kind of there's some things that need fixed.
This is awesome. This is awesome.
Fantastic. All right. I'm going to stop the screen share because I can't see anything else until I do. Looks good. Any questions on that? Check chat.
Maybe we could transition to, I wanted to ask you a question, Rick.
Yes, sir.
The incentivized testnet, do you think that staking will happen in November? Far as this, okay.
No, sorry, man. No, okay. I'm sorry. Go ahead and finish your question.
Okay.
Do you think it'll happen in November? Not likely.
Okay.
Only due to the velocity of developments. Like it's working well. The 2 main problems I had a couple weeks ago was the node lot. Ubuntu 18.04 is working extremely well. The testnet operators who are running Ubuntu 18.04 LTS seem to be having pretty good success with that, where the nodes are staying up and online and synchronizing. I'm running Mac OS X 10.15, and during version 0.5, it stayed on for weeks at a time. You saw the live stream. It just continued endlessly. But since 0.6, now we're on 0.7. 0.7.0 is the current version. It's still crashing. It started crashing on 0.6 about every 8 to 12 hours. Now it's crashing about every 6 hours.
Okay.
And it's not synchronizing. So there's a lot of operators reporting they're having problems synchronizing. If their node stays online, it doesn't always sync. I set my node for max connections, max everything, and it synchronized. And then it crashed several hours later. I can only get one of the two. I can either get synchronized followed by crashed, or it stays online longer but doesn't synchronize. That will be worked out. That's why we're doing testnet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I
Okay.
mean, that's just the status. You know, it's funny. If I mentioned last week, I want to bring the testnet operators on the podcast, but I would prefer to do it once the testnet is more robust. Like if I were to bring them the testnet operators on the podcast right now, they would kind of be like this. They'd be like, "You have stolen my sleep and my sanity with your testnet." I'm doing imitation when I say that. I'm just, you got to have fun with it, man. You got to have fun with it. The good, bad, and the ugly. The good is the decentralized part is working. There's a lot of great stuff working. The bad is there's still a bit of crashiness and still some lack of synchronization. And that's just the way it is. It's just making new technology is difficult, and we just got to be honest with ourselves. We hit rough points. We go, wow, this is rough. But IOHK is collecting all this data, and they're modifying the code. So I'm sorry, I went off on a tangent there. The original question is, do I think that we'll have the staking available in November? That was the original question, wasn't it?
Yes.
I'm sorry.
No, your answer was great. Your answer was great.
I'm sorry. That's all I've been doing all week. I get home from work and I play at the testnet. My wife's like, "You gonna eat dinner?" I was like, "Oh yeah, dinner. It's 9:00 at night, isn't it?" My wife came with me. I'm lucky. She came with me this time.
No, I think that I would probably have to agree with you. I think the snapshot will be taken soon, but as far as the actual staking, it might be a few weeks after that. But I still think that, we should start by the end of the calendar year.
Yeah, I think it'll be December.
Okay.
Because I think what will happen is within a couple of weeks, the nodes will synchronize and stay running. They'll stay online. That will be achieved within a couple of weeks, probably by mid-November. I'm still thinking snapshot will still go down mid-November. Then once there's a couple of weeks of stability and IOHK is happy that they've met their testing goals for a sustained period of time, then they'll switch to the incentivized part where you bring the operators in, not the operators. There's the pool operators and the users. They'll bring the users into the test net to begin collecting rewards. They'll need to see a long period of stability before you attempt to do that. I don't know for certain, but that's probably what's going to happen.
Okay. We have a question in chat from Adrian Mori, and he asks, what defines a stake pool versus just a node? That's a good question. I feel like the words are synonymous. In order to run a stake pool, you need to be running a node. But right now it's the testnet period, so anyone can run a node. But you need the node experience in order to run your stake pool. So they're kind of synonymous, but we're not at that point where stake pools are live. Eventually, nodes will become staking pools. So it's just a transition, but you can think of them as synonymous at this point. And but obviously, stake pools aren't live yet. I don't know if you wanted to add anything to that, Rick.
The only thing I would add is, everything I learned from the people in the stake pool best practice Telegram. That's how I learned stuff. I learned it from these other folks. I stand on the shoulders of those geniuses like Old Crypto Geek and Prank and all those bubbas and kyleo. And just a node is you're not using your secret key, and people are calling it a passive node. It's collecting the blockchain and it's communicating with the other nodes. But it does not sign transactions. It does not sign blocks. A stake pool they have to run the create stake pool script or follow the procedure. It generates an additional secret key that identifies it as a stake pool. And those are the nodes that need to stay online 24/7. And they will sign transactions and blocks when their turn comes up. You can run a passive node and not be a stake pool. It's just a node running Jormungandr, and it's listening to transactions. It's storing the blockchain. You can point your web browser tools at that node to display information. and it's not a pool. But when the operator runs the create stake pool script, it generates an additional secret key and a couple other features that make it a stake pool. So that was the only thing with it, but that's pretty much it.
Okay. I think that was a great explanation. Great
That
explanation.
process works really well. That's a really good up check for the stake pool. They're doing great with documentation. I've seen massive improvement in documentation from IOHK. We'll get a link down below. We have it in our last video. There's been a massive improvement on the scripts. Codex Data Systems has made something called Casper that automates a lot of the stake pool operator activities. So you can check that out. I'm going to link down below to that as well. So the community is really starting to pitch in. Standardized Network made some monitoring tools. And it's really cool, man. It's awesome to see this created from nothing.
It's progressing. It is progressing.
It's humbling. It's humbling.
Think about a year or two from now. It's going to be an incredible transformation.
It is. And to see it grow. You are Satoshi Nakamoto of Cardano. Everybody watching this podcast is now a Satoshi Nakamoto version of Cardano.
Yes, yes.
Philippe,
we have a question. So go ahead.
No, go ahead. Question.
We have a question from Unknown. It says, I have a question regarding staking. If I don't want to stake, I can just leave the amount in the wallet. I will be able to transfer when I want the amount to the exchange while the staking testnet. So I'm assuming that you're not participating. You can do whatever you want with your ADA at any particular time. Your mainnet ADA will not be locked whatsoever. If you don't want to participate, you don't have to participate, and you can sell, you can send to an exchange, you can send to friends, you can keep it in your wallet, you can do whatever. I think that I interpreted his question correctly.
Yeah, I had trouble understanding the question. What are you guys' thoughts? That's the one you just read. What are you guys' thoughts on the ability for me to delegate portions of my ADA to different stake pools without making a new
this
wallet?
is a question from, this is a separate question. I was doing a question from Unknown. Randy Ellis, I saw in Telegram that Sebastian said that we won't have the ability to, basically you're going to have to go all into a pool during the testnet in order to stake, because you won't be able to split up ADA within a particular wallet. That feature will come later on, but it's not ready for the testnet. So the testnet, when you create a wallet, you have to go all in with a particular wallet. A way to get around this, create as many wallets right now as possible. Then you'll get 10 different snapshots or 20 different snapshots, and you can delegate to multiple different pools before the snapshot happens. So create more wallets if you want to delegate to more pools before the snapshot. While it would be a convenient feature to split up your ADA in one wallet to multiple pools, it won't be happening for the testnet. So, but it's coming. It's coming.
Yeah, thanks for clarifying that, Philippe. And here's what I kind of went off on a tangent. The main thing I was going to do was point out the blog post from IOHK that explains all this stuff that y'all have questions on. I'll see if I can post it in chat. But this is, if you go to IOHK's website, iohk.io, blog posts, incentivized testnet. There's a blog here from Dinal Patel, the senior product manager for the incentivized testnet. He wrote an extensive blog post, and this might answer a lot of your questions. And he goes on to describe, over the past few months, we've been working towards a full release of the Shelley testnet. And he answers the question, why have an incentivized testnet? He also answers the question, how can I take part in the incentivized testnet? And there's two different types of participants. There's the pool operators and there's the delegators, the people who are delegating. And he gives a description of how it's going to work. Okay, so please check out IOHK's blog post here from let me make sure I got his name right, from Dinal Patel. And that may answer a lot of your questions on how it works. When does the incentivized testnet begin and end? He goes into that. He's got a status board of what's working, check, green check mark, and what's still to be developed. What does this mean for Cardano? Great blog post. Okay, thank you for that, IOHK. I'll get a link set up so that it can help answer people's questions.
Agreed.
I'm running out of screen space here. I'm getting myself confused.
I wanted to ask the chat quickly while we're in a brief hiatus. So I did some further research. We had the podcast with Daniel Friedman earlier this week. And a lot of the podcasts we were talking about the New Balance deal, the logistics behind the New Balance deal. And I asked him the question as to what kind of release strategy was New Balance looking for. Would the real chain be added to all different color variations of the shoe? Or was this just shoe specific or SKU specific? And it turns out that I looked on YouTube for people that just ordered the shoe online. It's actually called the Omnis from the Sneakerheads. It's supposed to be a play on Ole Miss, the university, and basically the white version was the one with the real chain card. But it seems like not everyone who ordered it online received the real chain card, so it might have just been certain locations in California, those pop-up locations that you had to actually go in store in order to get the real chain card. So I'm interested to see if anyone that bought the white version with the gold trimming, with the gold New Balance trimming, that particular SKU, if you ordered it online and you opened your box, did you receive a real chain card? I'm still trying to figure that out, because although one YouTuber had a review, an unboxing review, and had the real chain card, I'm assuming that they got it before or they got it as promo. But there are other YouTubers that didn't even mention the real chain card or anything like that. And the one thing that we need in order to push it forward is the hype beast or the sneakerheads are going to have to want to use this card and interact with this card and look at it as a commodity or some sort of token. So I'll be interested to see if anyone else got the real chain card that didn't go to the locations in California.
Yeah, and if you want to see more details on that, on the reviews of the shoe, that's one of our Reddit posts. There is it's in the top 10 on Reddit. One of the YouTube professionals did a review on that shoe and the card. And he's not a crypto guy, he's a shoe guy. So you get to see a review from a shoe guy. All right, I posted the link in chat. So if anyone has more questions about stake pool, check out that link, iohk.io, goes to the blog post, and that may help answer some of your questions. There is another question in there from Falcon Eye Vision. Is there a list of the official staking pools? Yes. Can there be like a way to verify staking pools? Yes. The official list isn't made by one person. The official list is aggregated by pool operators registering. But there's no one checking them and saying, yes, you did it correctly, yes, blah, blah, blah. As long as they follow the protocol, their pool just magically shows up in, there is a REST API call that will make their pool show up. But what that will look like to the operator is when you look in your Daedalus wallet, there will be a pool to click on. The more uptime the pool has and the more pledge it has, the more likely it will be green. It'll be like green, yellow, red. You want to click on the green ones. And yeah, so the official list is created by the protocol. It's not like someone sits there and says, yes, this one's good, this one's bad. The multi-party computations take care of that. It's cool seeing all that stuff in the work. We did all these podcasts last year. Now we're seeing it come to life. Isn't it awesome?
It is. It's been amazing. It's been a journey. It has been a journey.
All right. Okay, so where are we at? Are we ready to? We had 2 blog posts from Reddit.
Yes.
From Reddit, from Emergo. I'm sorry, Philippe.
From Emergo.
Yeah,
yes.
2 blog posts from Emergo. One of them was Manmeet Singh is doing the conference in Greece. So for those of you who are in Greece, or if you want to take, go there, he's doing it on, this conference is called Decentralized 2019, powered by the University of Nicosia, October 30th to November 1st in Athens, Greece. Emergo CFO and CIO Manmeet Singh will be speaking about driving the adoption of Cardano at this upcoming event. And the blog post from Emergo goes into detail on that. Philippe, do you have anything to add to that? I'm just glad to see Manmeet getting out there. He is all over the world, man. He's all over the place.
I have nothing to add to that. I think it's great. I mean, he is moving. He is moving. So
Yeah, he probably travels as much or more than Charles does. And it's like he gets out there.
definitely, definitely. Another world traveler is Daniel Friedman. He seems like he's out and about constantly. If you missed that episode, we have he said that there's about half a dozen partner like communications with different companies that are happening right now, and half of them are on Antala, and the other half are using Cardano. So it should be interesting to see what kind of partnerships pump out in the next, I don't know, 6 months.
Yeah, there'll be a lot. There was an interesting clip from Charles Hoskinson that I wanted to use it like on an intro, but I don't want to copy other people's stuff. And he said, people asked Charles in an AMA, and they said, "What are you doing to go out there and get people to come to Cardano?" And he said, "We don't." Something to the effect, I don't want to quote him, is we don't have to get other people to come to Cardano. They will come to us because Cardano is awesome. I really like that one. I also wanted to steal his quote from Larry King from when he did the Larry King interview, but we couldn't get permission. I tried.
Okay.
They wouldn't give us permission to steal content from whoever that was recording it.
Okay.
So we got a fourth blog post, the second one from Emergo. And this is they have a new employee there, Ada. And the blog post from Emergo, check out Emergo's blog at emergo.io. Click on blog, and Emergo puts out a lot of information. They publish a lot of info. Toida's a new employee there, a young fella, which is awesome. Get young people involved here. And one of the questions in his interview is, what experience did you have prior to joining? And Toida says he first joined Emergo as an intern, as a university student. Before joining Emergo, he did a wide assortment of volunteer college, supporting the establishment of elementary schools in developing countries and joining the environmental friendly organizations to address pollution issues. So right up the alley there. And he said, I was always motivated by the smiles that I saw when helping out at the villages in developing countries, especially when compared to the living conditions in Japan. I'm grateful for all the resources that we have, and I want to further devote more of my efforts to assisting those in need. I feel that blockchain technology could potentially help to solve some of these problems in developing countries. So I decided to help contribute by being part of this industry. Thank you for that. I very much appreciate it. And I love seeing young people come in and we grow our own. And this guy gets out there in the world. He's been visiting developing countries. So he's obviously got passion and motivation. Welcome to the team, Toida. Glad to have you aboard. Welcome to the Cardano team, Ergo team. And that's it for our blog post, Philippe.
Okay.
Chat,
yeah,
Reddit.
let's move to chat.
Okay.
I'm looking through Reddit. Maybe we can knock out the rest of the Reddit and then move to chat towards the last few minutes. But I'm not seeing anything completely.
We covered most of the Reddit. The top 10 are covered by those three key points.
Yes.
There's one down below. If you scroll down a little further, where's that good one at? Okay, there's the video. There's a video on a review of the Omnis shoe. There's a post there on Reddit from dcrowd66 called "No Reason to Fear Quantum Computers," and he has a link to the legacyresearch.com where an article says quantum computing won't end Bitcoin. I've been slacking off. I need to get a quantum computing expert on the podcast, and we need to talk about that.
Yes, it's a complicated topic.
Yeah,
it is a complicated topic.
Quantum computing isn't really that powerful yet. There is a great YouTube video made by a top researcher at IBM. She's a doctor, and it's called "Explain 5 Steps." I'll try to find the link to that video. Currently, quantum computing, you can play a video game with it. Quantum computers do exist. They've got quantum computers that range between 50 qubits and 300 qubits. A qubit is just a quantum bit. It's powerful to play a video game. That's about it. It's about the same as a desktop computer. And it costs millions and millions, if not $1 billion to make those things. So they're not a threat anytime soon. I think by the time they become a threat, Cardano will have solved the quantum resistance problem. But yeah, good article link there at Legacy Research Group.
Yes.
Quantum computing won't end Bitcoin. That's from October 21st, 2019. So that's a pretty recent article.
I have to agree with what you said. Of course, I'm not a quantum expert, but it's still in its infancy, and it still needs time in order to progress. And even if there's working quantum computers in 5 years that can do specific functions, the cost to actually run those machines will be astronomical. So they're not going to be going after anyone's your one Bitcoin in your wallet anytime soon. It would have to come down to a price point where it would make sense to actually even run the computer or run the machine in order to process transactions. There's a lot of hype. There's hype in every industry, and although it could be a future where quantum computing is a real threat, it's not today, but it's important to start building some protocols that will defend you when that time comes. Because it'll come eventually, but it's not in the next year or 2 or 3 or 5. It's probably further down the line.
It's funny, Philippe. I'm just going to throw this out there as conjecture. What if someone figures out that the best use for a quantum computer is to use it as a Bitcoin miner? And I say, hey, we could make our money back that we sunk into this quantum computer by mining Bitcoin with it. That'd be funny. Now, the problem with quantum computers isn't that they can overpower the miners. That's kind of a problem. I think the bigger problem with quantum computers is you can break the private key. If you get a couple addresses from the same source, isn't that correct? Is that what it is?
Yes, that's correct.
And you brute force it using Shor's algorithm.
Yes.
If you pound on it long enough, poof, you'll find the private key that breaks.
Yes.
That's the problem.
That is the problem.
Yeah. But
so in your theoretical example, so Bitmain would be a gigantic warehouse of quantum computers, and then we'd see a whole bunch of quantum computers in the trash because you'd have to have like double quantum computers because the algorithm would get more and more difficult as time goes by. It's a never ending game.
It is a never-ending game.
Yeah.
53 terawatt hours per year to run Bitcoin. The last couple of pictures I've seen of Bitcoin mining farms was a warehouse burst into flames. Good luck with that.
Yeah.
That's why I really hope proof of stake works, because proof of work, there's an insight to the amount of power it's going to consume. I know we touched on that in a previous episode, but it'll just keep spiraling up.
Yeah.
Until quantum computers work. Maybe they'll get quantum computers working as Bitcoin miners, and then it'll stop being a power hog. They got Rock Pi's running Cardano right now at 8 watts.
This is true.
And the decentralization has been achieved. Now we just got to achieve the blockchain part.
Yes.
Hey, my baby's ugly, all right? I take ownership of Cardano.
It has to start from somewhere, though. It has to start from somewhere.
If your baby's ugly, you got to say your baby's ugly.
Yeah.
It'll get pretty. We'll put some makeup on it.
Yeah.
It'll grow up to be a nice, pretty baby.
Someone said, "No hate against Bitcoin, please." This is not hate.
It's not hate. It's truth.
It's truth. I don't understand people. You say one thing about Bitcoin and then they interpret it as hate.
Yeah.
We're not telling you that Bitcoin's going to zero. You're going to make your money. It's just there's flaws. There's flaws. I mean, if there's flaws, there's flaws. You got to point them out. You've got to point them out.
Yeah. You got to do it because someone's going to do it. And here's another one, FUD. A lot of times I get called out for FUD, like that video I did on Emergo HK over on the Digital Fortress channel. And people said, "Why are you going to FUD them?" It's like, it's not FUD. It's facts. Look, I held up a piece of paper with a list of facts. And they got rid of that guy. Now they got a new CEO. Maybe they're going to do good now.
If you interpret everything as FUD, it's because you're scared to hear any counter argument to your position. And once again, nothing is perfect, so everything's going to have some sort of fear behind it. I mean, Cardano has its problems too. But Bitcoin has its problems as well. And it doesn't mean that you shouldn't hold Bitcoin. Hold Bitcoin if you want. It's probably going to the moon. I mean, we just saw it go up like 30-40% in like a day. It's probably a good investment at this point, but it still doesn't erase the fact that there are things that are going to be better, and that's the fact. If your car is spilling oil on the street, but it's still running, it's still spilling oil. I mean, if you roll down your window and say your car is spilling oil, and the person yells back at you, don't hate on my car. I mean, it's a useless argument, and I don't mean to attack anyone. But this Bitcoin maximalism thing, it gets much after a while.
Yeah. There's good constructive criticism that's pure. It's just being honest. And the only way you're going to get better is by having good constructive criticism. Now, if I were to say something like Cardano will never work, it's going to fail. Well, that's FUD. That's FUD. That's an example. Like,
Yeah.
It's not. But if you say something that's matter of fact, here's the current state. There are some things that are going really good, and there's a couple of things that still need to be solved. And that's fair. That's perfectly fine.
Without BTC, you never had a podcast. The fact that BTC is still king. Well, you can use that logic for anything. There has to be a first generation.
BTC isn't king. Fiat is king.
Exactly. And without
people measure Bitcoin in fiat. Bitcoin's not king.
Yeah. Without a steam engine, you wouldn't be driving your car. But we don't use steam engines anymore. They're combustion engines. You have to start somewhere. Kudos to BTC, but you have to progress.
I hold Bitcoin, but I call it like it is. Got to call it like it is.
Yeah. Well,
if Bitcoin weren't here, you know what? No, we already did that. Bitcoin is a technology. Something better will replace it. That's just how technology is.
And the same thing could happen to Cardano in the future if they don't continuously innovate. They could get crushed by something else.
Yep.
But if they keep on innovating, chances are they're always going to stay on top of the market.
Yep.
Apple keeps on releasing phones. Samsung keeps on releasing new TVs. If they just stayed with the same model year after year after year, then you end up like, after a while, your company looks like GE, and you're still selling
or Nokia.
Old. Exactly. So
Nokia used to be king of the dumb phones. Now Apple and Samsung have completely dominated the market.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's a technology. That's how technologies are. If it wasn't Bitcoin, it would have been something else. It would have been Ethereum.
Yes.
I mean, I've said it before. Ethereum is better than Bitcoin. It's just it's not as immutable. They keep changing stuff.
Yes.
So Ethereum has its problems too, and someday Cardano might face that, and we'll have to make decisions.
Exactly. And this is not financial advice to anyone. You go hold your BTC. No one is telling you that it's not going to be successful. Keep on doing it.
Yeah. Bitcoin will remain king because of the name.
Exactly.
That name will keep it on top for a long.
It hit that inflection point, that network effect, so it's not going anywhere anytime soon.
It's like Microsoft in the 90s.
Yes.
Their products were crashy and buggy. Stayed on top because it was on everybody's desktop. It was on everybody's lips.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. It looks like we covered everything in Reddit. We definitely got the top 10 just by covering those blog posts and doing Reddit. All right. Good stuff. That covers the news for the week. We're approaching that hour point.
Okay.
What do you think, Philippe? Should we check chat and gather up any last remaining questions?
Yes, we can check chat.
Yeah, I hope I didn't piss anyone off with saying, what is FUD and what is not FUD and what is hate and what is not hate. But, what's going to make Cardano great? Honesty. Because it already has. It's already worked. Scientific research, putting in the effort up and being honest about it. That's been the strong points.
Perfect. Yeah, that's all it's about.
All right, questions in chat. What about the percentage?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Philippe.
Yeah. So David Esser did the AMA with the IOHK guys, and it hasn't been determined yet. while there was a question that said between 3 and 12%, and it was going to be towards the latter part of that, so upwards. That's what David Esser insinuated, but the exact number has not been determined yet. So we're still on call for that. But that number should be released soon, and you'll know exactly what you'll be getting in the incentivized testnet. And the way I think it's going to happen is actually, I think that rewards will actually decrease in the mainnet. So they're going to be incentivizing people a little bit more to be staking within the testnet, because the amount of transactions, dummy transactions that they'll probably be stressing the system with, and the amount of people that will actually be staking, it's not going to be completely indicative of all the people that will be staking within mainnet. So I think it's going to be worth your while to stake within the incentivized testnet. Not financial advice. You do as you please.
Yeah, there's another question from Mashur Turk. Thanks for dialing in, Mashur Turk. I appreciate it. And he says, I understand it will be a snapshot for the testnet, but what I recommend is to have another snapshot before the mainnet to ensure people don't offload Ada and get rewards after the first snapshot. I don't think that's how it's going to work. I think once that first snapshot goes and people start getting those rewards, they're permanent. That's how the blockchain works. Once those rewards go out, they stay. You know what I mean?
Yes.
You can't reverse it. It needs to be irreversible.
Yeah.
Right now, it's another problem with the testnet. Sometimes the block count goes backwards. They'll fix that. That'll get fixed.
People are going to offload their ADA, though. I'm just going to let you know it is what it is. But these are growing pains, and this is a long-term thing. So think about it like this. If the testnet happens for 3 to 6 months, bull markets are I feel like they're creeping back. You may have a nice chunk of ADA waiting for you at the end of the tunnel. So don't be worried about what's going on during the testnet if the price is going down. Everything is going to even out, and a successful testnet will mean money's going to rush into this project. I think that's going to be the case. So what's another few months of waiting and just having a nice little bonus check when at the end of the tunnel. So that's my logic going into the testnet, and of course that's not financial advice.
Yeah, that's reasonable. Yep. Each person has their own decisions they got to make doing that. Thank you for that, Mashur Turk. Adrian Maury says Antonopoulos said that the next Bitcoin is Bitcoin. And there's a laugh.
Yeah.
Okay. Antonopoulos is kind of in the bag with Bitcoin. If you hold a lot of Bitcoin, you're going to be in the bag for Bitcoin. If you hold a lot of Cardano, you're going to be in the bag for Cardano. People used to say, hey, you should put out a disclaimer before the podcast that you hold Cardano. Of course I hold Cardano.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be doing a podcast if I wasn't holding Cardano. Like if this was a podcast about surfing, you would expect me to be a surfer, right? Oh, do you have a surfboard? No. Just kidding, man.
You're going to be aligned with what you're invested in. And let me tell you, a lot of these people out there, they don't even hold the coins that they're pushing. Rick and I have been invested in this project for a long time. And, we're not at Hoskinson's wealth level, Charles's wealth level, but relative to net worth, we invest a lot of our assets into this class. And we put our money where our mouth is. So relatively speaking, yeah, of course we are pro ADA, but we've done our research to become pro ADA. And shout out to Andreas Antonopoulos. He's been in the Bitcoin space for a long time. He's done his research. He's paid his dues, but he's Bitcoin rich. He will push Bitcoin until the last day. And, I don't think I'll ever become as diluted as he is, and I say that in the most respectful manner, because as an investor, in 3-4 years, if Cardano's not doing what it's supposed to be doing, if they haven't accomplished what they're supposed to be doing, I will look elsewhere to the next big thing. Andreas cannot do the same thing. He's sold too many books. He's done whatever he needs to do. He can't jump ship at this point. He's locked in. His books are okay, and shout out to him. But, just because Andreas is a very smart guy, no one is taking that away from him. He's very well spoken. He knows his things, but doesn't mean he's correct in everything that he says. And I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's fair comments. Everyone, you got to pick your poison. And he wrote 2 books on Bitcoin. I think he just released one on Ethereum. I can't remember, but I think he did. Mastering Bitcoin and the other one. Let's see. What is the difference between the private key and the public key? Where can those be found? Details in Daedalus. I don't remember where they're found in Daedalus. I got Jormungandr on the brain. I know where I'm in Jormungandr. I just use the word seed for Daedalus. I don't look up. Oh, the secret key is in the secrets folder. So you go to the Daedalus folder. Then there's a db.tech 1.0, and there's a secrets folder, and the secret key is inside that folder, and it's encrypted with your password. So make sure you use passwords because it encrypts the secret key. So that's where you can find it.
Tyler Nelson asked, the recommendation after the snapshot is to change our private key seed in our wallets, but the testnet rewards will be assigned to our old seed, correct? Any recommendations here? Yeah, the recommendation is to, well, Nico made that recommendation, is to switch your wallet. So send it to another wallet after the snapshot. There's going to be a grace period. So say the snapshot happens November 15th. Then you're going to hear another announcement from IOHK saying staking happens December 1st. That's when staking happens. So you have 2 weeks to move your ADA after the snapshot from one wallet to the next wallet. And when it's time to access the testnet and download the testnet, you'll put your old seed phrase, the one from that wallet that's empty now, into the testnet, and you'll get an equivalent amount of ADA. So that's a way to help decrease your risk. Once again, you need to make sure that your computer is not compromised. You need to make sure that you're, like Rick was saying earlier in the podcast, try not to do this at McDonald's or any local Wi-Fi area or your local library where you know that there's a lot of hacking that's going on, or there could be potential hacking. We had a hacking episode that basically described all the dangers of doing those types of things. It's a real thing out here. So make sure maybe it's on a secure connection inside your home. It's password protected. Take some time and do it correct. It's not as scary as it seems. It always seems like everyone's out there to steal your stuff immediately. But if you take proper precautions, you're more than 99% safe for most of the time. I'll pass it back over to you, Rick.
Oh, yeah. So that was, I saw another question in here, similarly related, and it said, oops, it's scrolling, so I lost track of it. Raviv Schweed asks, any active project for Cardano? Okay. My answer to that is yes, but I don't know who they are, because when the testnet came online, I was amazed at how much software was created by the community in a very short period of time. So testnet came online, and poof, there was Standardized Network had a network monitoring tool. You can go check out standardized.network and see how the network. You can download. I downloaded it. It's run on my computer. Poof, Codex Data System released Casper. Poof, someone released the Prometheus built by IOHK with Grafana. I think it was built Prometheus by IOHK. And now we have all these really cool charts that you can monitor. And if you go to the different stake pool websites, you can see all these software tools that just, in a matter of a week, all of a sudden I was like, oh my gosh, where'd all this software come from? So I would bet in favor of, right now, there's a bunch of devs out there already writing code that is designed to run on mainnet. They're just waiting for the last couple of bits to get finished up, tidy it up, boom, that code's going to be running. So I don't know who they are, but I mentioned a few already that I've seen. There's a lot more out there, especially with Plutus and Marlowe coming up next year. I think with Plutus and Marlowe releasing, you're going to see amazing influx. I would bet in favor of that. Okay, any other questions in chat? We'll get ready to wrap. Sound good?
Yes, that sounds good. I said developer Hituka said, hey guys, this topic is not directly related to the subject, but I need assistance. I'm in Africa, and I've been trying to get in contact with the Cardano team in Africa. Can you assist? You should probably reach out to John O'Connor. You can find everyone's email on the IOHK team portal, and you can send people emails. You can also talk to Daniel Friedman as well. He'll be able to link you up. He's very active on Twitter, He is also, you can find the emails on the IOHK team portal. So any of the business development guys, and just keep on trying until you find someone. I don't have I don't think we have a direct plug to the team in Africa. We don't speak to John O'Connor on a regular basis. So yeah, that's what my suggestion would be. Daniel Friedman is probably a good contact.
Yeah, and like Philippe said, IOHK.io, click on Teams, click on John O'Connor. His email is right underneath his picture.
Okay.
Right on. There's a question here. If Testnet continues for an extended period of time, will the rewards earned on Testnet be automatically restaked as real rewards that will be on the mainnet? No, I don't think anything from Testnet will transfer to mainnet for the ADA that was earned itself. And that's going to require some sort of manual process in the background. Also, there was another good question that came up as if I stake my ADA, let's say I have 100 ADA and I stake it this epoch, and then I earn 3 ADA. Now I have 103 ADA. Does that additional 3 ADA get automatically restaked? I don't know the answer to that question. You know what I mean, Philippe?
Yeah. That's a tough one.
I don't know what the answer is.
In theory, it's going to work on the mainnet, but in the testnet, it's a little bit. I don't know how the math would work, because it's not necessarily. I feel like it wouldn't be pegged 1-to-1 anymore, or it would be inflating at a higher rate than they would want. I don't know. We're gonna have to wait for IOHK to release a statement on that. But I know that you'll be able to restake your rewards in mainnet. If you have 103, then 105, 107, whatever the return would be. But in the testnet, if you're restaking those rewards, I don't know how that would work. I don't know.
Yeah. Also, another interesting thing to keep in mind, in the IOHK blog post article from Dinal Patel, he said that we're not just testing the protocol, we're testing the people. They got to see how people respond to that kind of stuff, how much rewards they get and how they decide to stake it, which is good. That's a really sharp thing to do. I totally agree with you. Got to test the people and see how they respond. Let's see. Anything else? Oh, catch Daniel Friedman's getting a parking ticket. Best time to catch for a talk. Yeah.
Bruce City.
Thanks, Bruce City.
Bruce City 44. He has the most epic comments. You write novels every time you write a comment. I enjoy reading them.
Yeah, Falcon Eye Vision brings up a good point. He says, please address the dataless password login. Many people want it. Yes, people do want that. Currently, there's no password to log in. However, it does require a spinning password. Everybody knows how that works. Other wallets require you, like Emerald Wallet, you gotta log into the wallet before it displays the data. So even your holdings are protected. People can't just click on it and look at what you have. They got to have the password. I get you, Falcon Eye Vision. I'll check GitHub and see where that stands. I believe that is a priority thing. I don't know how high priority it is, though, to get the login.
Okay.
I think
we're done.
We're
done here.
Yes, sir. Thank you, everyone, for joining us.
Yes, we appreciate you. Thank you for joining us on this Sunday. Have a good weekend. Have a good rest of your weekend with your friends and family. For all the Americans, enjoy Football Sunday. And, we look forward to another eventful week. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for the support. Remember, like, comment, and subscribe. And new news is supposed to come next week. I mean, news comes every single week. And Rick, you need to say something? Sorry.
Yes, I missed something very important in chat. I know you're on wrap up. Sorry to interrupt, but there's a really good point here from developer Kituka again. And he said, since I'm very interested in a project, but it's been 3 months that I've written an email, sent LinkedIn request, and a message to the Cardano people. I don't know which people, but if you do, let us know in chat. And the representation in Ethiopia, but no feedback. So the representation in Ethiopia is John O'Connor, like you said. So make sure you reach out to the Cardano Foundation if you have questions about the representation or information. Please contact the officials. Philippe and I are not official. We're here to get information out, and we're here to connect you. We're the middlemen. Oh my gosh, we're the middlemen. We're here to connect you.
Yeah.
Please contact CardanoFoundation.org. And if you're not getting a response, hit them up on Twitter. You'll also find the community managers in Telegram. They are extremely responsive. So reach out to the community managers on Telegram if you are not getting a response on email. Okay.
Yes, we can't do anything on our end though, as far as we just don't have those. We're not employees, so we don't have access like that. If you think we have access, we have less access than you think we do. I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, we have the same access as everybody else.
Exactly. We have no
Telegram.
Exactly. So.
Thank you, Philippe.
Okay, so thanks everyone, and have a great weekend. Enjoy the rest of the week, and we'll be tuning in for the live stream next week. Thank you for tuning in for the Cardano Effect episode Cardano Effect episode 54. 54 episodes, guys. Thank you for the support, and until the next time. All right, bye everyone.